Thunder roll in the heart of night. Folks unite with a primal might. With fierce hearts ablaze we ride through the storm side by side.
I've been watching a lot of other content creators making battlefields and emphasizing the elevation and terrain and maybe a dynamic battlefield, which is something I really wanted to embrace. So I made this as an example. You can see the different levels of battlefields. You've got the higher step, it steps down to this lower platform. We've got lots of terrain pieces that people can hide behind and get behind. I've got enemies up on these platforms. We've got the main enemies up on this platform, and I've got a few up here and some guys over here. Any of the green robes and the giant, they're enemies. So it's a very terrain-filled battlefield. No, I don't have trees, but this is sort of set in a Greek temple sort of complex. That's sort of the motif in this one. And this is really cool. The different levels, the different pieces of terrain, the motif that I'm going for, that Greek pillar kind of look. It's very thematic. But then imagine one of the enemies that you're trying to fight and defeat has immense magical power. And in order to keep his enemies at bay, the players at bay, he can levitate the very pieces of terrain in the environment and then make them a little more dynamic. What about this? What if I build some things so that every turn, every 6 seconds that the players act, the wheel turns 1/4 and then the pieces move. So every single turn changes the battlefield just a little bit. And the goal is to get up here, because these guys are hurling down missile weapons of sorts, spears, arrows, magic bolts, and then one more turn. The battlefield changes once more. I think this type of a battlefield creates difficulties and unexpected situations that the players may not be ready for, but on the fly they can adapt to it. They can figure out how to get to here, and from, as long as I don't knock anything over, and from there they can get onto this one, and from here, when these two are at the right place, they can leap and grab on to here, and from here, if they can make it, they can climb up to here. Or they can do the slightly quicker and more dangerous other side, where if they don't act fast enough, they will get swept off entirely into the depths below. But they would have a very difficult hike to get up that area. Wouldn't it be cool to have this sort of thing? So this is how I did it. I printed a whole bunch of plates, and I'll link them in the description below. Somebody came up with these plates and gears with little cranks, hand cranks, and with these gears and plates that are very specific to this system. There are these little gears, and they have little pegs and little holes in the plates, and it took me, I don't know, hours and hours to print this stuff, but once it's all printed, you can put them together with different gear sizes and gear ratios in order to change the dynamic nature of these platforms. So what I did was I built the gears, and they turn in different ratios and different rates so that they don't all turn the same way. And then I took pieces of foam, and I constructed just a piece of foam with some pins to hold the other foam thing on, and these pillars. And I hot glued the small gear onto one of those. It doesn't matter if it's a small gear or a big gear. Here's why. So the small gears will nest into each other, and you can make taller pillars like this one, so that it doesn't run into the other pieces of terrain that you're working with. And this one was especially challenging because it's very long, and you had to keep an eye on that. But these gears will work with each other, and then they'll stack on each other. So you can make one of them go a little slower, you can make them go a little faster, you can change the gear ratios. I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to use smaller terrain platforms. I'm going to use more like these kinds of squares, and some of them that'll be put together in longer pieces, longer and shorter, so that I can have a whole battlefield where people have to go from one square to the other, and maybe they'll fit and maybe they won't, and they'll be, you know, right over top if you're right underneath each other. But if you put this platform on top of a tube, I got this from a cash register receipt sort of tube, and then you just stick a pin through it at an angle so it holds on, so two of them will hold on, they'll grip. So that's how I did it, and I think it's really super cool, and I think my players are going to have a lot of fun with it. But I can also do this again with different things. And you know, this is a pretty short video. I haven't done any videos in a while, but that's okay. Anyway, what do you guys think? What do you think? What else should I make as far as a battlefield for my players? This one will be especially challenging, since they're going to be up against giants and robed guys, cultists, that'll be swept into the pits below when they fall off. But yeah, what do you guys think? And what should I make next for another dynamic battlefield?